What do you say, my fellow Americans? Great to see you this Friday morning. Yes, Friday. We love Fridays around the Bill Press Show. And here we go on Friday, January 17th, with a lot of news to talk about before we head into the weekend. Today's the day for President Obama's big speech on reforms to the NSA. But if you were expecting any great big shakeup of the NSA coming from President Obama, lower your expectations. You're going to be disappointed today. President Obama has gone from the chief critic of the NSA, one of at least, in the United States Senate, to its chief defender in the White House. He's expected to do little more than maintain the status quo and tell Congress, hey, if you want to change the NSA, you want to see any changes in the NSA, you do it yourself. Meanwhile, Senator Tom Coburn becomes the latest member of Congress to call it quits, announcing he's not going to run for re-election. The drive-by Congress, as Nancy Pelosi calls it, has gotten so bad, is accomplishing so little that more and more people just don't want anything to do with it, and they are walking away. But one thing members of Congress have gotten really excited about, they may even call a special session to save the incandescent light bulb, the manufacture of which is no longer permitted under law as of January 1. They want to save the incandescent light bulb. At the same time, they are going to bring back black and white TV, wood-burning stoves in the kitchen, and horse and buggy carriages. This weekend, I don't have to tell you, it's a big game between the Patriots and the Broncos. Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning. Go New England. Hey, we got so much to talk about. Give us a call at 866-55-PRESS. Send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show and on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Let's get on with the show.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids
you.
how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction, America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Did you commit to change the world?
On your TV and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
She is 50 and she is fabulous. Happy birthday to the First Lady of the United States on are you ready for this? A great big Friday. Damn straight. Friday, January 17. Our favorite day around the Bill Press Show. Yes, indeed, it is. One more for good time's sake. Yes, indeed. Welcome, everybody. Great to see you on the program here this morning. As we go into the weekend, but not before lots and lots we got to talk about over the next 3 hours here. It is the Bill Press Show. Good morning on your local progressive talk radio station. Wherever you happen to be in this great country of ours, we are there with you to tell you what's going on and to find out what you think about it all. Our morning town hall here on Progressive Talk Radio, on Free Speech TV, and on our video stream, TawkrTV, TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. Lots going on this morning. This is the day for the president's big speech on NSA. This is the day for both the Senate and the House to run out of town to celebrate Martin Luther King's birthday for an entire week. Yeah. First, Republicans opposed any birthday at all. But once it became the law of the land, they said, all right, we love Martin Luther King so much, we'll take the entire week off to celebrate. Oh, man, we all need a job like that. Great to see you this morning. Lots coming up here on the show this morning with our team, Peter Ogburn and Elisa Murphy.
Hey there.
Good morning. Happy Friday.
Man, we made it through the second 5-day work week of the year.
This is tough.
It is tough, you know? Man. Telling you, we deserve battle pay, I think. Look at this, Alicia Cruz. There she is on the phones. She's waiting. She wants to talk to you, so give her a call at 866-55-PRESS. And Cyprian Bolding, behind the scenes, but very much critical to the team because he keeps us on the video
That's
cam.
right.
And when he gets pissed off at one of us, he just turns the camera away.
That's right. He puts me in bad lighting, which I can't deal with the bad lighting. He knows I hate the bad lighting.
He's left.
He's left.
Always shows like a blank wall or the back of your head.
That's right.
Your bald spots.
That's right.
We're all at the mercy.
Hey,
we're all at the mercy.
Easy on the bald
Cyprian.
spot there, okay? I'm not quite there yet.
You know, I noticed that it looks like I have a bald. I don't have a bald spot.
No, you don't.
Remember you were giving me grief
do
because it
not
looked
have
like I had a
you
bald
don't.
spot. You were giving me grief because you said it looked like I had a bald spot when that camera was on me, and I would say I don't have a bald spot.
Right.
Well, Peter.
Come on, I don't have a bald. Look at Cyprian. Cyprian's putting the camera on it. Go ahead, get a good look. Look at that.
Beautiful, lustrous
that
hair.
hair is fuller than Chris Christie at a Chinese buffet. That looks good. That looks good.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a little bit of hat head going on.
I got, I don't know. Got the back of my head there.
Yeah, get a good shot.
We're all preening.
Got a good
We're all
shot right
preening
there.
for the cameras there, right? That's not a bald spot.
No bald spot.
Happening in the studio on Capitol Hill, bald examinations.
All right.
Cyprian, on the other hand.
Okay. What do you think about our bald spot? 866. No, well, come on. All right. Hey, well, indeed, we're a little off topic this morning. It's sort of like Jimmy Kimmel. He does once a week. He does the unnecessary bleeping. It's sort of his take at the FCC, who bleep things out or fine people for not bleeping things out. So he goes to the news every day and bleeps what ought to be bleeped, but maybe wasn't bleeped. Jimmy Kimmel last night.
Too often you see somebody pull out an 18-inch out of their pants.
Jennifer, I would go on national television. I have no problem. I'm sorry.
That would never happen.
Well, President Obama has threatened to veto legislation before him that would make easier.
LeBron was so up, I thought he was going to give me a hug and knock me over.
That's funny stuff.
I love it.
Yeah, very clever. Very, very clever. Big lineup coming up today. Susan Page from USA Today will join us, as she does every Friday morning. We'll have reporters in from The Nation and Politico. Then we'll be talking about the big report Maria Shriver issued on how well women are doing in the workplace today from the Center for American Progress. We'll get Melissa Boteach. Is it Boteach?
Boteach.
Tell us about that report. And then we'll be talking to the Legislative Counsel for the ACLU about what President Obama should say today about the NSA and what he, in fact, will say. We'll get to all of that, plus the great, big, new priority for the Congress. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
Okay, so yesterday in the third hour of the show, I have to get this out of the way. Yesterday in the third hour of the show, the Oscar nominations were announced. And I was watching Twitter, as I do all throughout the show for your comments, and a bunch of people started tweeting out, because we can't listen in, we weren't listening in, tweeting out what the nominees were. And so the New York Times put up a graphic, a very nice, well-produced graphic, with all of the Best Picture nominees. And I thought to myself, that is so fast that they got that out there. Well,
and you said, here it is, and you announced it.
And I announced the nominee. Turns out they put out the wrong graphic. They had mocked up several different graphics of who they thought might get nominated, and they put the wrong one out. So I gave the wrong Best Picture nominees in the third hour of the show yesterday.
You're fired.
And for that, I'm deeply sorry. Look, mistakes were made. I've fired my chief of staff. And look, I'm taking cues from Chris Christie as best as I can. So here are the actual Best Picture nominees.
And by the way, do you remember I said Philomena's not on the list?
Yeah, and I said no.
I know.
I didn't quite believe it. Right.
Here is the official list, and I apologize for
getting
this
sure?
wrong. I am positive. I've triple checked.
Look, you better have it right today. All right?
Fool me once, shame on you.
That's right. You don't get 3 strikes around here. You get 2 strikes.
All right, here are the Best Picture nominees. 12 Years a Slave, Wolf of Wall Street, Captain Phillips, Her, American Hustle, Gravity, Dallas Buyers Club, Nebraska, and Philomena. There are your Best Picture nominees.
Right. I'll take either Nebraska or Philomena.
All right. We'll
or
see
12 Years a Slave.
We will see what happens on March 2nd.
All right. Thank you.
And I'm sorry for
your correction.
I had to get that correct. Yesterday, a big change for the Washington football team. Cornerback D'Angelo Hall, one of their star players, actually said about the name changing the name, when he was on the Fox Sports show hosted by Mike Hill, said, quote, "They probably should change the name." He's the first active player to actually say that. He added to it. They won't for a while, at least.
He's a member of the team?
He's a member of the team right now.
What is he, RG3's backup?
No, he's a cornerback.
Cornerback. Yeah. Yeah. He may not have a job today.
That's right. He might have a meeting with Mr. Snyder later on. And Best Buy announced yesterday some disappointing sales over their holiday season. Their shares fell 27% on the news, showing investors are increasingly worried about the future of consumer electronic retailer Best Buy. The holiday season running from November to December is a very critical period for most retailers and accounts for about 40% of their annual revenue. Online competition with stores such as Amazon and Walmart are the expected causes. Like Best Buy's website hasn't gotten to where Amazon and some other retailers are. So tough for them.
All right, there you go. Hey, some good news today. Yes, indeed. You know, we've made a lot of fun about and been very critical of, rightfully so, with full justification, this do-nothing Congress, or as Nancy Pelosi calls it, the drive-by Congress. They are, in fact, the least productive Congress so far, and 2013 was the least productive year in the history of the entire Congress. But They are about to turn the corner. They have finally found something that floats their boat, that has gotten them very, very excited. I'm talking about the Republicans in the House who control the agenda. Republicans have finally found something they want to sink their teeth into, a cause that they have adopted and embraced. This is so exciting. Now, what is important enough to get these Republicans going, okay? To get their fires burning? Is it immigration reform? No. Mm-hmm. Could it be, let's see, climate change? No. How about jobs? Jobs, that's the most important thing? No? No, not jobs either. Republicans have embraced, they are going to battle to save the light bulb. Yes, the incandescent light bulb. I am not kidding. This is it. John Boehner is on board. All the committee chairs are on board. Eric Cantor is on board. They say it is terrible. It is un-American that starting pretty soon as the supply runs out, you will no longer be able to buy an incandescent light bulb because they stopped manufacturing them by law as of January 1, 2014. You may remember this bill actually passed in, I think, 2010. They were supposed to go out of production January 1, 2012, but Republicans extended the life of the incandescent light bulb for another 2 years. Michelle Bachmann had a piece of legislation, the light bulb Freedom of Choice Act, which they passed, extended the life of it for 2 years. But now that ran out, and so as of January 1, they'll no longer be. Now they made a whole pot of them, so there'll be more in the stores. And stores, a lot of stores bought up a whole lot of them. People have gone out and hoarded them to get all they can, but they're no longer manufacturing them. All you can buy new, and all they're making new, are the CFL, the fluorescent, or the new CFL, or the LED bulbs. But the Republicans now have decided they want to roll back their clock. They want to repeal this ban, and they want to bring back the incandescent light bulb, and they have vowed to do it whenever they come back to town, which that I don't know when that'll be. At any rate, their arguments are, here's what they say. First of all, we don't like them because the color's not the same. The light is not the same from them. That is true, but it's not that bad. It's not like they're red lights or blue lights or, orange lights or blinking lights. It's a softer tone. Maybe it's a harsher tone. I don't know. It's different. It's different. It's not as warm, I would say.
It's not as warm. We have some in my house.
BFD.
I don't personally care for them. I don't know that I'm going to support the Freedom of Light Bulb Information Act.
No, I didn't like him at first. And the thing that always got me is you turn on the switch, and I thought, oh, damn, the light burned out.
Yeah.
And then it comes on. So you just get used to that. I mean, this is not a big deal. The other reason they say, well, they're the new bulbs are more expensive than the old bulbs. Yes, they are, idiot. They're more expensive because they last 15 times longer. Right? You have to change these things. And, by the way, they consume less energy. So this is a way of saving. No, it's a small step, but is part of what we all have to do to consume less energy from the point of energy conservation, saving energy, saving money, saving the planet. These things make sense, but Republicans refuse to accept this change. This is the, ultimate ridiculous expression of conservatism. If conservatives kind of by definition are against change, well, some things, sometimes change is good. I mean, I think it makes as much sense. I'd love to know what you think about this. This is something we can all relate to because everybody buys light bulbs, okay? This makes as much sense, saving the incandescent light bulb to me, as saving black and white television. Okay, yeah, here's the other thing. The other argument they make is, well, this is going to hurt the manufacturers of the incandescent light bulbs. This is going to put them out of business. No, it's not. They can make the new light bulbs. That's why it comes back to black and white television. we move from black and white television to color. Oh, that's going to hurt the people that make black and white TVs. We can't do that. Yes, you can. They'll just make color TVs. I mean, by this logic, as I said a little bit earlier, by this logic, we would not have the automobile. Because when Henry Ford said, I've got this little machine that people can actually get in, and it's gas-powered, and it's going to get you from here to there, people would say, no, you can't, because it'll hurt the farmers. It'll hurt the people who raise horses. It'll hurt the farmers who raise the grain to feed the horses. We can't do that. No. This is insane. They want to. It's like, stop the world, I want to get off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, give me a freaking break.
I would like to see...
I'm not kidding, though. This is what the Republicans have adopted as their number one priority.
Yeah.
Finally, they woke up. It's like Rip Van Winkle. They finally woke up. Oh, we're going to get something done. We're going to turn around. We're going to be to do something, Congress. We're going to save the light bulb. Go back to sleep, is what I tell them. Jesus.
I'd like to see them say, like, these are clearly the way of the future. They're better for the environment. They're better economically.
Hello.
Long run. But then you say, like, look, you don't like them? We'll fix it. Let's have somebody.
But they couldn't make some improvements to those. Yeah.
They could. Look, there's a lot of room for improvement, I think. Yeah, and so let's have them work on that instead of just killing the whole idea.
But aren't you happy? Your Congress is working for you. 866-55-PRESS. Freedom of Choice Act for light bulbs.
For light bulbs.
Give me a break.
Good.
This is the Bill Press Show.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine.
Virginia Tech.
Tucson.
Aurora.
Fort Hood. Oak Creek.
Newtown.
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 How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
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 Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad. As a friend. As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 None of us would want to be told we can't marry the person we love. As Americans, we believe in freedom. That's what I fought for as a Marine, and that's what we believe in as Republicans. Freedom means freedom for everyone. I didn't used to understand the importance of same-sex marriage, but after learning my brother was gay, I wanted the same rights for him. He was the best man at my wedding, and I want to be the best man at his. It's only fair that Calvin should have the freedom to marry the person he loves, too.
It's time for marriage.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
This is the Bill Press Show.
26 minutes after the hour, the crusade to save the incandescent light bulb is the Republicans' latest cause. No, they can't do. They don't want to do anything about health insurance. They don't want to do anything about education. They don't want to do anything about jobs, unemployment insurance. We don't have time for that. Minimum wage. We don't have time for that. We're busy saving the light bulb. Rose is out in Ligonier, Indiana. Hello, Rose. Good morning.
Hey, morning, guys. My comment basically is this. The Republicans, I guess, have got to have one bright idea a year. If they've got to go retro, then why don't we just go to the kerosene lamp again, and then it would also help the insurance company, and we'd pay more for our home insurance.
There you go. Let's bring back the kerosene lamps, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, retro, black light can't have that anymore, so let's go for our lamps.
I like it.
All right, Rose, you're right. I mean, or candles.
Yeah, sure.
Hey,
why not?
You know, now you talk about a nice glow from a candle. There's nothing like candlelight, right? In terms of warm.
Yeah.
Very romantic.
Romantic? Yeah. Okay, here we go. Yeah, you'd have a little problem with the fire insurance there.
There's that.
There might be that, too. David's out in Fort Collins, Colorado. Hey, David, good morning.
Good. How's it going?
All right. How's the pot business out there?
It's awesome, I hear.
Oh, you hear? Oh, yeah. Okay, good. What about this incandescent light bulb, David?
Yeah, my sister's an interior designer, and we were just talking a couple of days ago, and she was saying that she showed me this article that they're actually not getting rid of incandescents. They're going to become halogen bulbs, and they're going to be more efficient, but nowhere near as efficient like an LED or a CFL is, though. So they're still going to be around.
Really? Halogen? I don't know enough to know how that works. I mean,
yeah,
I don't either. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry.
I don't know either.
Well, David, we get your sister to call in. That's what we need. All right.
I was just driving home and I heard you say it. I was like, oh, this needs corrected.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will stand corrected if somebody can prove that to us. Thank you, David, for the call. I imagine, but the incandescent light bulb, such as we know it, unless Republicans change it, is done. It is gone. It's going to go the way of the passenger pigeon. By the way, I wish Republicans had been so excited about keeping the passenger pigeon alive.
This is the Bill Press Show.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. When I say done, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Same time next week?
Well, of course.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Hey, 34 minutes after the hour now, we're talking about the Republicans' great new mission, which is to save the incandescent light bulb, the manufacture of which finally expired on January 1, 2014. Republicans have put a line in the new budget. You heard they passed this $1 trillion, I don't know how big it is, spending plan. And a bipartisan plan. But what we're just discovering is hidden in that plan is a little measure to bring back the incandescent light bulb. Our good friend Michael Tomasky from Daily Beast, often an in-guest studio with us, has a good column on this morning. Save America from commie light bulbs. That's the headline on his column. He points out, by the way, and it's worth remembering, this is not Obama's plan. This was passed by George W. Bush's Department of Energy. They're the ones that came out with this regulation in 2007. And we're finally getting around to it. So this, and the reason they did it is because they last so much longer and they save so much energy. Michael Tomasky reporting this morning, quoting the Department of Energy, if every American household replaced 15 old-style bulbs with 15 CFLs, or better yet, 15 LED bulbs, we would save the equivalent of the output of 40 coal-powered power plants.
Whoa.
So we're talking serious here. Come on,
Whoa.
you know? I mean, this is not just a joke, Michelle Bachmann. But what the does she know? Hey.
Bill.
Yes. Peter,
okay, all right.
Back to your
you
calls.
You can join
in just
us
a second.
on Twitter. You should definitely follow us on Twitter. We are at BP Show, at BP Show. Go there, chime in. You can say whatever you want to say. You could even curse on Twitter if you want to, Bill, which you can't do on the
which
radio,
I can't do on the air,
you
but
well know.
Which I almost did.
NC Nomad on Twitter says, Congress working on light bulbs while a jobs bill goes untouched.
Oh, yeah, right, sure.
This is unforgivable. Don Griffith says, another bright idea from the GOP. Haven't they learned that every time that they have a bright idea, they get burned by the bulb? And Mr. John just says, America is doomed unless we stop sliding back into the regressive cesspool of conservatism. Energy-efficient light bulbs are good for the country.
You have to pick your battles, right?
Yes.
Yeah, this one. I would have to say, I am proud of my fellow Californians because the one thing that we do is we get up early, all right? It's awfully early on the West Coast, but here they are in Visalia, California. Joseph, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Hey, what's up?
I kind of agree with them about those light bulbs. I agree with the Republicans on that because those new light bulbs, they don't last much longer.
Right,
they don't shine very bright. And when they burn out, what are you supposed to do with them? You can't throw them in the trash. What are you supposed to do with them?
Well, why can't you throw them?
Why can't you throw them in the trash?
Why can't you throw them in the trash?
Because they have mercury in them.
Well, I don't know that they have mercury in them.
I have to say this.
First of all, Joseph, I have to. Every community that I know of has some recycling plan for stuff that you're not supposed to throw in the regular trash. So I mean, I'm sure there's a way of getting rid of them. You're wrong. They do last longer.
They really do last longer.
They really, really do last longer. You know, they say 15 times longer. Maybe some of them are 13 or 14, but that's the average. You know, I don't know. It's something like getting used to. It's no big deal.
I mean, look, I will say this. I don't like them. I genuinely do not like them, but I don't care enough to fight to get the old ones back because I realize that
Plus, you have to realize the benefit.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's like we're saving money. They do last longer. I mean, the life cycle of the bulbs that we have in
and
goes
they're saving
so much
energy.
Longer. So it doesn't bother me that much.
And they're energy efficient. I should probably not like them because it's a George W. Bush idea. Right?
Fundamentally.
But even though George Bush came up with this idea, I like it. And the stupid Republicans probably don't realize this is a Bush idea. Just like they didn't like Obamacare.
Right.
Because they didn't realize it was written by the American Heritage Foundation and first pushed out there by Mitt Romney.
Yeah.
Astavia is in Marina Valley, California. Good morning, Astavia.
Morning, Bill. How are you? Hi, Peter.
Hi, there we go. What's going on? What do you think?
I just want to say that if everybody pays any attention to Congress right now, they should realize that there are people who aren't getting unemployment checks, who aren't getting benefits, who aren't getting health care in red stated governors, who aren't getting things that should be important to them. And they are more important. The light bulb thing is not as nearly important as the people who are suffering without lights at all.
Can you imagine this, David? They went home for Christmas, and now they're going home for the Martin Luther King holiday, right?
Which they all are opposed to.
Which they all opposed, right? These Republicans, at least. And without doing anything about extending unemployment benefits for 1.3 million Americans, and yet they're all up in arms over light bulbs. I mean...
Well, that's why they have a line item veto, right? He can line item veto it right out of there. Right?
I hope so. And then also, and they won't do anything about the minimum wage, right? But they'll fight like hell for the incandescent light bulb.
You make me so happy when you sound optimistic, but I always know something's going to go wrong and you're going to tell us something bad. I always think they're going to realize that income inequality. No,
I don't. Just when you think it couldn't get any worse, Astavia, guess what? It does, right? Yeah. Oh, man. It's so good to hear from you.
Have a good weekend, you guys.
You too. All right. Thanks for getting up early for us. In Detroit, Michigan, the big auto show out there.
Yeah.
Vice President Biden there yesterday. Hello, Chuck. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call.
Glad you're there. What's going on?
Glenn Beck did one of his radio shows about the incandescent light bulb, claiming that the current administration has banned them and they won't let people get 40 and 60-watt bulbs anymore. But Glenn said not to worry, he has a garage full.
He'd find a way to make money off them, right?
Fine.
That's what he says. He'll have them whenever people come crying for them. Personally, I like the CFLs and the LEDs, and this new law is making those come down in price, and they are a lot better.
Yeah, that's right. They're getting better. They're coming down in price, and again, they last longer and they consume less energy. And you know, we all say we got to do something to save the planet. These are little things we can do, right? And if it means waiting 5 seconds before the light actually comes on when you turn on the switch, that's a small price to pay, it seems to me, for paying the... By the way, I think, you know, Chuck, that Glenn Beck actually has 2 garages. He's got one garage full of the incandescent light bulbs, the other full of the gold coins.
That's right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's right. Out of his bunker.
Yeah, out of his bunker. And those gold coins are really... They're very valuable these days. Here we go. We tell you every day on the video stream, people watching all around the world, all around the planet, from London, England.
Come on.
Good morning, Brad. Or good afternoon, I guess, right?
I'm actually an expat, so I'm a former New Yorker.
Oh, okay. Right. You're into this then.
What's happening here is people are moving to LED bulbs. CFLs are going to disappear because, yes, they have the problem where they take time to start up, the color's off, you can't dim them, etc.
Yeah.
LED bulb does everything a regular bulb does.
Yeah.
And it lasts 17 years, you know, so, and it's energy efficient. So.
No, LEDs, actually, I'm glad you made that point, are much, much better. So is this movement also hit the UK, Brad? I mean...
Yeah, I mean, the whole European Union slowly phased out incandescent bulbs. They went lower and lower in wattage, and then they lost the frosting on them, and et cetera.
Yeah.
But everybody's moving. I mean, LED bulbs, they do cost more, but again, you pay for them once, and, you know, I mean, some of them last 20 years. So.
Well, here's my warning. Here's my warning, Brad. You know, Michelle Bachmann is retiring from Congress this year. So I hear that she's moving to England to take up the cause and to bring back the incandescent light.
Good luck.
She's going to take on the EU and bring them back. Hey, Brad, thanks for jumping across the pond this morning and saying hello to us. Appreciate it very much.
Keep up the good work.
All right. Thank you, man. Thank you. Yes, indeed. You see that? Doesn't matter where you are. You're in Namibia. You're in England. You're in New Zealand. You're part of the show here at TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. Susan Page, she's not quite that far away. We'll talk to her next. Washington Bureau Chief for USA Today.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma.
Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
You got it 13 minutes now before the top of the hour, Friday morning, January 17. This is a big day for President Obama. His speech this morning at the Justice Department on what reforms he would like to see in the NSA after the revelations of Edward Snowden. We'll all be watching, and right there, Susan Page, Washington Bureau Chief from USA Today. Hi, Susan. Good morning.
Good morning, Bill.
So what do we expect out of the president today? Is he going to, he's just going to probably dismantle the NSA, right? Say, we don't need him, we're going to shut him down. Yeah.
He's going to try to thread a needle that will satisfy some of the critics who think there need to be significant reforms on NSA surveillance, and those who argue this is important for the security of the United States. And that is, as we know from the past couple of years, a tough thing to do.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting how President Obama has kind of gone from being one of the chief critics of the NSA in the Senate, working with Ron Wyden, to almost its chief defender today.
That's right, and this has been heartening to some in the intelligence community, but very distressing to some of the base supporters for President Obama. And one of the sources of real disappointment and frustration for the people who were with him at the start.
Yeah, right, where we thought, I didn't even use the we, but certainly civil liberties advocates, right, expected, I think, that President Obama would take that same critical viewpoint into the White House with him. What happens to people when they get in the Oval Office? I guess they see things from a different perspective.
They
right?
do. They see information that perhaps we don't see. We've seen this effect before, but it's been pretty dramatic with President Obama, and especially in the post 9/11 era, there's been so much more willingness on the part of Americans generally to tolerate invasions on their privacy and civil liberties. Although I think we do see a kind of post 9/11 era these days, where some of the things that were accepted as necessary and okay, if it kept us safer, people are now starting to question those, I think, in a more serious way.
Yeah, I believe so, too. Now, one of the president's, interestingly enough, one of the president's best friends when he was in the Senate was Senator Tom Coburn from Oklahoma, political opposites, right, but became friends. And Senator Coburn announcing he's not going to run for re-election. We had George Miller earlier in the week, Jim Moran from Northern Virginia, and maybe a half a dozen other members of the House. How do you read that, Susan? Are they just fed up with Washington, or what?
Well, I think almost everyone in Washington is fed up with Washington, and also across the country. It'll be hard to find a location where people are not fed up with Washington. If you look at the numbers on the House on retirements, they're running about at a normal clip.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I saw an analysis of that yesterday. But this is the time period where people start to announce they have to fish or cut bait. They're either going to start fundraising in a serious way, are not. Tom Coburn was a surprise to me, though, and there are so few people who it's not so much they have centrist views, but are willing to work across party lines.
Yeah.
He was one of them. So I think in that sense, it's a real loss.
Now, you had a very interesting interview this week, very important interview with Robert Gates, sort of the man of the hour, with his new book out, Duty. Has he backed off any of his criticism of President Obama? How did you find him?
He definitely backed off his criticism of President Obama. He did not, I've got to say, at all back off his criticism of Vice President Biden. There's really something going on there. But on President Obama, he's complained that the news media had kind of picked up on a few provocative lines and not the overall portrait. And I tell you, when I asked him to describe the last 9 presidents in a word or two, because he's served 8 of them, 8 of the last 9, when it came to President Obama, the word he used was courageous. Courageous, which is, a pretty positive adjective to use.
Well, it is, and you're right. By all the news accounts, you would never think, right, of Robert Gates saying anything positive about President Obama, let alone calling him courageous.
Yeah,
right?
But if you read the book, it does have a lot of positive portrayal of President Obama, but it also does raise questions about his lack of faith, his lack of trust in the military brass,
and his lack of passion, wasn't it, for the mission in Afghanistan?
Now, of course, a lot of people who voted for President Obama voted for him in part to get out of the wars,
right?
And so maybe not a surprise he didn't have a passion for the war in Afghanistan.
Did you ask the secretary why he wrote the book now? Even John McCain said, he should have waited.
Well, he said that these issues are going on now. Maybe he has something to offer. He didn't say this, but perhaps he thought he'd sell more books now than if he waited until the last administration he had served was out of office.
Right, so he's basically sticking to his guns, right?
Yes, absolutely, and he talks about wanting to change some of the tone in Washington, which he describes. I mean, his criticism of Obama is sometimes there. Boy, his criticism of Congress is unrelenting, although he does not name names.
Right, and there's something. It seems to me like Joe Biden got under his skin in some of those meetings in the briefing, not the briefing rooms.
The Situation Room.
The Situation Room. Don't you think?
Yes. I said, have you reached out to President Obama since the book came out and these accounts of it being so critical? He said, I sent him a copy of my book with a very warm inscription. And I said, did you send a copy of your book to Joe Biden? And he said, no.
Well, we'll find out the backstory there someday, right?
Right.
Maybe when Biden writes his book. All right, Susan, great to visit with you as always.
Thank you, Bill.
All right, see you a little bit later this weekend. Susan Page, Washington bureau chief for the USA Today.
This is the Bill Press Show.
It is possible to read the history of this country as one long struggle to extend the liberties established in our Constitution to everyone in America. In other words, who, according to our laws and culture, gets to be considered a person? The law creates legal personhood, and movements create law and change culture. So, how have the courts passed laws to shape our culture? That history goes way back before Citizens United. 1819, Dartmouth College versus Woodward, Supreme Court case, turned a corporate charter from a government-granted charter to a contract. This ruling gave corporations standing within the Constitution. 1886, Santa Clara County versus Southern Pacific Railroad. Though the court did not rule on corporate personhood, the decision was subsequently cited as a precedent to hold that a private corporation is entitled to the same 14th Amendment rights of due process and equal protection as human beings. This makes it impossible for us to make laws that treat local businesses any differently than giant multinational corporations, even if their business practices are deemed to be harmful to workers, the environment and communities, or if they have a history of violating the law. Hale versus Henkel, 1906. The court granted corporations the Fourth Amendment search and seizure protection. Dodge versus Ford Motor Company, 1919. The Michigan Supreme Court says the business corporation is organized and carried on primarily for the profit of the stockholders. stockholder primacy is established. The purpose of the corporation, according to the court, is no longer to serve the public good, as it had been. It is now to maximize profit for shareholders above all else. Pennsylvania Coal Company versus Mahon, 1922. Corporations get the Fifth Amendment takings clause, meaning if you pass a regulation that impacts a corporation's ability to make a profit, that is deemed a taking, and they can sue for the right to future profits lost. This creates a chilling effect, and local and state governments become much more hesitant to pass laws in the public interest for fear that corporations can claim loss of potential profits that cities and states will be on the hook to pay. Buckley versus Vallejo, 1976. The Supreme Court rules that spending money to influence elections is protected under the First Amendment, in effect saying that money is speech. Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission, 2010.
Today, the Supreme Court of Chief Justice John Roberts declared that because of the alchemy of its 19th century predecessors in deciding that corporations had all the rights of people, any restrictions on how these corporate beings spend their money on political advertising are unconstitutional.
The court's ruling threatens to undermine the integrity of elected institutions across the nation. It's a rejection of the common sense of the American people.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Yes, indeed. Here we go. In the next hour, reporters from Politico and The Nation on the Bill Press Show. Peter?
I have some bad news.
Oh, no.
And it's genuinely bad news. Next week, the polar vortex is back.
Get out.
No, it's actually coming back. They're
Really?
saying that the polar vortex will get stronger and it's going to drop back down south again next week, the end of next week. Midwest and the East are going to get hit, and they're predicting it's going to be just as bad as it was when...
So we're going to go down to sub-zero temperatures again?
Get ready.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. We already have all the newscasts, right?
Start replaying them.
No, yeah. We got those on tape. We might as well just all go back and just replay the same stories.
Might as well.
But what? I don't get this. What is this roller coaster effect? You know,
I think I read about this in the Bible.
Just let the cold come in and stay here, and then go away.
This is the Bill Press Show.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
What do you say, my fellow Americans? Great to see you this Friday morning. Yes, Friday. We love Fridays around the Bill Press Show. And here we go on Friday, January 17, with a lot of news to talk about before we head into the weekend. Today's the day for President Obama's big speech on reforms to the NSA. But if you were expecting any great big shakeup of the NSA coming from President Obama, lower your expectations. You're going to be disappointed today. President Obama has gone from the chief critic of the NSA, one of at least, in the United States Senate, to its chief defender in the White House. He's expected to do little more than maintain the status quo and tell Congress, hey, if you want to change the NSA, you want to see any changes in the NSA, you do it yourself. Meanwhile, Senator Tom Coburn becomes the latest member of Congress to call it quits, announcing he's not going to run for re-election. The drive-by Congress, as Nancy Pelosi calls it, has gotten so bad, is accomplishing so little that more and more people just don't want anything to do with it, and they are walking away. But one thing members of Congress have gotten really excited about, they may even call a special session to save the incandescent light bulb, the manufacture of which is no longer permitted under law as of January 1. They want to save the incandescent light bulb. At the same time, they are going to bring back black and white TV, wood-burning stoves in the kitchen, and horse and buggy carriages. This weekend, I don't have to tell you, it's a big game between the Patriots and the Broncos. Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning. Go New England. Hey, we got so much to talk about. Give us a call at 866-55-PRESS. Send us your comments on Twitter at BB Show and on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Let's get on with the show.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
President Obama set to give his speech on NSA later this morning. Edward Snowden has leaked the entire speech already. I bet he had it before anybody else did. Hey, good morning, everybody. What do you say? It is Friday. Aren't you glad to see Friday come around? We certainly are. Friday, January 17. Hello, 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 hello. Great to see you today, and thank you for joining us here. Your local progressive morning show on your local progressive morning station. Glad to be with you today. Also good to welcome our friends from Free Speech TV on the satellite dish, on the Dish Network or DirecTV. Mm-hmm. And how about it, all of our video stream friends all over the planet. Call from London, England in the last hour. Yes, indeed. There were 12 countries signed up yesterday. God knows how many today. And you don't have to be overseas to enjoy the video stream. If you got a laptop, you got your iPad or whatever, go to youtube.com/TawkrTV. With Peter Ogburn and Elisa Murphy. Good morning, guys.
Hey. Good morning.
There we go. Elisa Cruz. She is the one you talk to on the phone. 866-55-PRESS. Ready to screen your calls. And Cyprian Bolding is keeping us looking good on the video cam. Good morning, Cyprian. Into a big football weekend this weekend, huh?
Very big football weekend.
All
yes,
right.
Indeed.
Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady. Just two guys out on the field, right? Forget
That's
everybody
no
else.
defense, no nothing. They're just
That's all they need.
Mono. Yeah. But that, for some people, that is the big event of the weekend. Not from around the White House. The big event of the weekend is today. Is the birthday number 50. She is fabulous and 50. She says so herself, for the First Lady of the United States. And we've got all kinds of people coming out of the woodwork this morning to say happy birthday to the First Lady.
Happy birthday.
How about that?
Former President George Bush.
Former President George W. Bush. All the Republicans, they do respect the First Lady. May not like President Obama. They like the First Lady. Even John Boehner likes
I have a
her.
request.
Yes.
Can we do the full song? We rarely do the full Boehner song.
I think the First Lady deserves
the full song. Let's do the full song.
The full Boehner.
This is your birthday song. It doesn't last too long. Hey!
Thank you.
Now, my colleagues, the second verse is exactly like the first verse.
Let's don't sing it.
This is your birthday song. It doesn't last too long. Hey! Happy birthday, Ralph.
Ralph. Well, no, he meant to say. He meant to say
Ralph.
Michelle. New York Times front page this morning. Great picture of the First Lady yesterday. And I think this says a lot about her. I love her. I think she's just fabulous. You know?
Yeah.
Listen to this. We haven't heard any other First Lady described like this. She has perfected a mean forehand, is working on her yoga poses, dishes with girlfriends over Brussels sprouts and dirty martinis.
Oh.
Ooh.
At Satinia.
Okay.
Pushes her two daughters to play two sports, one of her choosing and one of theirs, and said this week that the wonders of modern dermatology like Boteach are in the realm of possibility for her. She also toys with false eyelashes.
Just like me.
She also, I love this, she likes to take me time.
Yeah.
Time for herself, as she did last week. She went off with her girlfriends.
It's very important.
For a whole week in Hawaii, after being there 17 days with her husband and her daughters. And she
says she on that me time thing.
Me time thing. This me time.
She might be onto something.
I think she is. I'm thinking more and more about some me time.
Me time.
And I think it's a good idea.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea in any
right.
relationship. So she's great. She is great, and celebrating today her birthday. And tomorrow is the big party, the dance party at the White House, where everybody was told this is going to be serious dancing. So don't think we're just going to sit around eating. In fact, they've been told, and it was on the invitation, eat before you come.
That's right.
They'll probably have a little birthday. Do you think they have birthday cake for her?
They better. Dude, they better.
Ooh.
They better have birthday cake.
Or it'll be a healthy alternative, maybe.
And if they're going to have dancing, and if you're going to encourage people to dance, you damn well better have some booze.
They're going to sip. It says here they're going to sip fine American wines.
Sip.
No, they ought to come booze. Consume delicate macarons.
Okay.
That's not quite birthday.
No, that's
cake.
not birthday.
No, that's a birthday
That's not
cake and
birthday
ice cream. Come
Yeah.
on. All right. Here we go. Coming up in this hour, yes, reporters from Politico and The Nation. And then we will, in the next hour, be talking to the ACLU and the Center for American Progress. Lots going on this Friday morning. We'll get right to it. But first...
This is the Full Court Press.
Just a couple of other stories making news. In the last hour, I talked about some of the Best Picture nominees from the Oscars that were announced yesterday, but there are some notable snubs. Here are some snubs that are being talked about. Both Tom Hanks and Robert Redford were both not nominated for their roles as leading actors, and Emma Thompson was snubbed for her performance in Saving Mr. Banks. People expected Joaquin Phoenix to get some sort of a nod for her. That did not happen. The big snub, I think, is, two of them actually. The Coen brothers were essentially shut out of their movie Inside Llewellyn Davis.
Yeah.
Which
and
people said is great.
There was so much publicity for that movie and made me excited to want to see it. Now it didn't even get nominated.
And not even Queen Oprah. Queen Oprah was not nominated for her role in The Butler, which a lot of people expected to happen. It did not happen.
She did a phenomenal job in The Butler, I must say. And I was skeptical. I love Queen Oprah, but I was skeptical that she, could pull off a dramatic acting scene on the big screen. But she did.
Bill, there is a scandal brewing in France, and this actually has nothing to do with the affair that their president is having right now. This has to do with the fact that Paris is no longer the world's most visited city.
I don't believe it.
Wow.
London took that spot over in 2013. Now, here's the scandal.
No.
These numbers are coming from London. London is reporting that 16 million people visited them in 2013, while only 15.9 million visited Paris. Paris is saying, open up your books. Let us see where you're getting those numbers from, because we have different numbers.
I don't believe it.
So London says they are. France says that they. Paris says that they are still the most visited city. And
knowing both cities, go to Paris. Go to Paris.
Listen to you. and the big football weekend coming up this
called
weekend.
Us from London in the last hour. I'm sorry. You can go to London too. You know what? Go to Paris. And then take the train to London for lunch, and then go back. Then go back to Paris.
Lunch?
For lunch. Then go back to Paris.
If I'm going to eat,
dinner.
I'm going to eat in Paris. Yeah, okay, that makes better sense. Now, there are a couple big football games this weekend, and a new study by the Public Religion Research Institute reveals that over half of Americans that watch sports believe that God has something to do with the outcome of the game. So when you're watching a game and you're going, please, God, if you could just let him hit this field goal or catch this pass or get this first down. Over half of Americans believe that God is actually listening and making that happen.
Is that in the Old Testament or the New Testament? Where do you? I want to know. Where do you? Does he actually care which horse wins a race?
Yeah. No. Well, yeah. Sure.
That's
absolutely.
The king of sports.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
All right. So don't buy the green sheet or whatever it's called.
That's
the
right.
Racing form, right?
I missed the scripture about onside kicks in the Bible. So.
Okay. Hey, Congress out of town. They. Look. Come on. They have such respect and affection and reverence for Martin Luther King that they decided one day to celebrate the birthday is not enough. They're out of town all next week. But some of them are soon going to leave town and not come back. Alex Isenstadt is a political reporter for Politico, joining us on our news line this morning to talk about some of the retirements we saw last week, or this week, actually. Alex, good morning. Good to have you with us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So, Tom Coburn is just the latest name, big name, to say he's going to step down from Congress. What's up? That's somewhat of a surprise, is it not? And what's up with Coburn?
Well, the Coburn development is somewhat of a surprise. There's been buzz brewing over the last couple of weeks that Coburn, he's been having some health problems, and that maybe his cancer was coming back a little bit, and that would impact whether he'd want to stay or not. But it was a little bit of a surprise last night when he put out a statement saying that he would be leaving at the end of this year, and foregoing the final 2 years of his term. And so that's gonna have an impact. He was a pretty prominent player in Congress. And he had a lot of supporters and a lot of detractors, depending on what side of the aisle you're on.
And Carl Levin, of course, is stepping down. I forget who some of the others are, but are there any others who have not yet already announced that that we might expect not to seek re-election?
Well, in the Senate, we've probably seen all the retirements this year that we're going to see. We're getting pretty late in the game here. It's coming up here on the end of January, and some of these midterm campaigns are going to start in earnest. So, but you could see some House members retire. There's a Democrat from Minnesota named Colin Peterson. He's sort of a conservative House Democrat. That's one name that a lot of people are watching at this moment, and there could be others.
And in the House, we've already seen among Democrats, Carol Maloney from New York, Mike McIntyre from North Carolina, the ones that I remember, Bill Owens from New York, Jim Moran from Virginia, and George Miller from California. I mean, that puts a big hole in the Democratic ranks. Does that going to make it harder for Democrats to hold on to the House in 2014?
Well, yeah, it probably will. I mean, it should be said that there are a bunch of Republicans retiring, particularly some moderate Republicans from more suburban districts, from the very few moderate Republicans that are left. But yeah, you look at Democrats and their battle to retake the House, and it was always going to be pretty uphill for the party. But they really needed everything to break their way in terms of retirements and for retirements just to be pretty much on the Republican side. But there have been a few Democratic defections that are going to hurt. Particularly Jim Matheson's retirement in Utah, and as you mentioned, the McIntyre retirement in North Carolina. Those are blue dogs, conservative areas, and those are going to be hard seats for Democrats to fill.
Why is it, and what is it about this time of the year or this cycle, why suddenly we see all these announcements coming in this last week or so?
Yeah, it's a good question, and there are a lot of theories about that. It always happens to be around this time of year, and one theory is that, look, these guys come back from the holidays, and they've been with their family, and they've been with their friends, and they start deciding whether they start thinking, well, do I really want to run another campaign, and do I really want to go through the hassles of running for re-election in this kind of environment? And they get back to Washington, they get back to Congress, and they say, this really isn't so great, and so that sort of that plays a big role in this. And then the other thing has to do just with timelines. In terms of running for re-election, you have to file at a certain point, and those deadlines are coming up now in the next few weeks, next few months.
Right, and I'm sure Jim Moran said this in his statement that it's just not as much fun anymore, I guess, right? They're not getting that much done. Democrats are in the minority. They sit around. Every member that we have come in here in studio, and everyone that I happen to know personally, they all complain about the fact that they come back, for 3 or 4 days a week and just sit around doing nothing.
Yeah, gridlock is something that a lot of these lawmakers are citing when they make their announcements, and that's particularly true for Democrats. If you're in the minority, you just don't have that much say. You don't have that much power, and so for a lot of Democrats now, they're looking at the probability that's going to be another 2 years in the minority, and under Republican rule, and a lot of them don't like the way John Boehner's run the House. A lot of them don't like the way Eric Cantor's run the House, and they just say, it's just not worth it anymore.
Yeah. Well, as you pointed out, for Democrats to take back the House, they require, it's 17, I think, right? They have to pick up 17. That was always going to be uphill. It's a steeper hill to climb with so many of these Democrats retiring, particularly those in the swing districts. Alex, thanks for your good work at Politico, and thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks for having me.
All right, Alex Isenstadt at Politico, Politico.com.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine, Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood, Oak Creek,
Newtown.
Newtown,
Newtown.
Newtown.
How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
Enough.
Enough. Enough.
Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad. As a friend. As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 None of us would want to be told we can't marry the person we love. As Americans, we believe in freedom. That's what I fought for as a Marine, and that's what we believe in as Republicans. Freedom means freedom for everyone. I didn't used to understand the importance of same-sex marriage, but after learning my brother was gay, I wanted the same rights for him. He was the best man at my wedding, and I want to be the best man at his. It's only fair that Calvin should have the freedom to marry the person he loves, too.
It's time for marriage.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, 25 minutes after the hour, President Obama over at the Justice Department today, of course, for the big speech on NS reforms to NSA. CNN is reporting this morning that President Obama will announce the end of the controversial NSA telephone metadata collection program. Quote, here's the key phrase, as it currently exists. We don't know what that means. And, yesterday at the briefing, we tried to get out of Jay Carney exactly what the president was going to recommend. He kept saying, stay tuned, watch the speech, and then we'll talk about it. And it's really just speculation now as to what the president exactly is going to propose. We'll find out more from Michelle Richardson from the ACLU at the top of the next hour. Meanwhile, I have to tell you, my favorite story of the day, maybe of all time, is out of the Queens, up in Flushing, New York. There's a big problem up there, and the police have been called out on several occasions. This is a real crisis. There probably will be federal legislation dealing with this. The seniors have taken over a McDonald's. What's happening is apparently that there are a lot of retirement homes like nearby, and the seniors, they get their buddies together and they go down to this one McDonald's, and they show up early in the morning and they buy a cup of coffee and they sit down to have their coffee and never leave.
They just sit there. And
other customers come in, and there are no seats available and no tables available. There are all these old farts sitting there having their coffee and talking. And people have complained so much. And the management has put up signs saying there's a 20-minute rule for McDonald's. You know what? That's a long time for McDonald's, don't you think? 20 minutes?
No, I mean, you sit down and eat.
Yeah, but...
Well, if you have kids and they get Happy Meals, that could be an hour.
The only excuse
to fast food.
Well, I mean, it means it's served to you fast. It doesn't mean you eat it in 2 bites. Fast food doesn't mean you eat it fast.
So anyway, they said 20-minute time limit on the table, and the seniors have said, "We don't care, man. We've served our time. We're going to sit here. Takes us longer than that." And they've actually called the cops, and the cops come in and enforce the law. And they've actually thrown seniors out of this McDonald's. And then what they do is they'll just walk around the block. The cops will leave. They'll walk around the block. Then they come back to McDonald's.
Back in.
This is. I'm telling you, these seniors, man, they're
crafty.
They're out of control.
Yeah,
right.
Hey, you get certain rights when you hit a certain age, man. You know, and if one of them is hanging out in McDonald's all day,
and a senior citizen cup of Joe at McDonald's is a good price.
Yeah, it's like 10 cents. That's something crazy.
Is that right? Okay. Oh, so be careful. Seniors could be coming to a McDonald's near you.
This is the Bill Press Show.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing dot. I want you to just push the area.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
About 33 minutes after the hour now. It's Friday morning, January 17. It's Michelle Obama's birthday. Damn it. Say happy birthday.
Happy birthday, damn it!
Our personally, I like her.
I do too. I don't know that I'd go up to her and say, "Happy birthday, damn it!"
That was the most heartfelt birthday ever.
Hallmark has really missed out on an opportunity here.
Happy birthday!
The happy birthday, damn it cards. They should really.
It's a missed market.
Shut up. We're coming to you live from our nation's capital. Shut up. Damn it. Brought to you today by the International Association of Machinists, the good men and women of the Machinists Union under President Tom Buffenbarger, sharpening America's edge on the global economy. And for more information about their good work, you can visit their website. I encourage you to do so at goiam.org. Well, Congress is heading out of town today because they worked so hard over the last week. You know, they were off for 2 weeks at Christmas, or at least 2, maybe 3 in the House. Then they're back, and they just wore themselves out last week. They're taking a whole week off for next week. George Zornick covers the Congress for The Nation magazine and joins us in studio this morning. Hey, George, good morning.
Thanks for having me, Bill. You too.
We're not usually this crazy. Only on Fridays do we get this crazy.
Yeah.
Well, former Speaker Pelosi said something about the Congress yesterday. I want to start with that because I think that sort of sets up our whole conversation. Here's how she described it.
It seems like we were just out and we came back for a little bit of a drive-by Congress, and now we're going out again.
Yeah, that's sort of it. I mean, what's going on? Don't they have a minimum number of days that they have to work each year?
Unfortunately, no. But and people get really worked up about this. But what I think is interesting is when they're here, they don't really do anything either. So it doesn't matter to me really if they're here or not. I wish that they would get things done when they're here. Then they can leave for as long as they like. But when they're here, they don't get anything done. When they're away, they don't get anything done.
No, that's a good point. Right? If they really had a record, if they were really accomplishing stuff, right? Then you'd say, okay, they may not be here. They may be here like 2-3 days a week, but look what they're getting. Look what they're doing, and then take all the time off that they want. Yeah. Well, but now they need some issue to really sink their teeth into, really to get excited about it. It seems to me, I've just been reading that they found one: the incandescent light bulb. Right? That's what Republicans now want to bring back. Huh?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That was in the omnibus bill, which actually, to their credit, they did come close to passing, or they've taken steps to pass this funding bill. But you're right. Republicans have this crazy idea that Obama's out to take everyone's light bulbs, and they've made sure through this omnibus that people can still buy these incandescent bulbs.
Right. So the omnibus bill, if signed by the president, would extend the life of the incandescent light bulb, right? Even though these LED bulbs last 15 times longer, save enormous amount of energy, and by the way, have you talked to any of these Republicans about why they're so excited? Like Michelle Bachmann, who's got the Freedom of Choice, the Light Bulb Freedom of Choice Act. Why are they so excited about these light bulbs?
Behind every corner, the Republicans always see this big government monster coming to take away our freedoms, and whether it's guns or light bulbs. They really have it. I mean, they really think that Obama's going to come into your closet and take out all the old light bulbs. And they view it as a freedom of choice thing, that you should be able to buy whatever you want.
You'll have to pry my cold, dead hands off my light bulb. But so when you talk to them, have you do any of them have a clue that this was a George W. Bush Department of Energy regulation enacted in 2007?
In one ear, not the other. You can go and say the same thing about Solyndra. By the way, this was a Bush initiative. Doesn't matter. No, I think, and for them it doesn't really matter, because I don't know what Michelle Bachmann personally believes about this, or Louis Gohmert, or these other folks, but I know that they believe their constituents really think it's Obama. So as long as they think that, it doesn't particularly matter to them.
Are they thinking about bringing back black and white television too?
That would be fine with me, actually. But
well, look at Nebraska. Black and white movie is great. Is a great movie. We had just marked the. By the way, I do have to say this, not just because you're here, but our listeners and our viewers have heard me say it many, many times. You here reporting for The Nation. I've been a subscriber to The Nation for most of my adult life and could not live without it. So I recommend to everybody that go to The Nation. If you're a liberal, you're a progressive, you got to subscribe to The Nation and read it. And they do great, great work. So you're lucky to be working for such
That's true. A
great publication with such a very important history.
1865.
In terms of progressive thought in this country. And The Nation did a lot on the war on poverty that we just marked the anniversary of last week. It looks like that sort of escaped the attention of Republicans in Congress, right? So here we are talking about the war on poverty, and yet food stamps, what's the latest on that? No action, right?
No action. Well, there's going to be action soon. So what happened was the House passed a farm bill that cut $40 billion from food stamps, and the Senate Democrats passed a farm bill that cut $4 billion from food stamps. So right now it's in conference committee, and they're trying to figure out what number should they settle on. And what we've heard, no one's seen it.
So the two choices, but both of them cut food stamps. There's no alternative out there which would actually continue the program at its present level, or, God forbid, put some more money into it.
Well, you could not pass the farm bill because, unlike unemployment or other programs, SNAP, which runs food stamps, runs on autopilot. So if there's no farm bill, it will just continue at current levels. And there are certainly some members who have urban districts and don't particularly need a farm bill who say, fine, we don't need to pass this bill because food stamps won't be touched. They'll go on in perpetuity at current levels. So that is an option. But no, for these people working out a bill, it's between, do we cut $4 billion or $40 billion, or what number in between do we settle on? And we've heard that they're settling on $9 billion, but we haven't seen a bill yet.
But isn't the food stamp program unique in the sense that when times are bad, there's more money spent on food stamps. When times improve, there's less demand, therefore less money spent on food. So it does sort of reflect the economy. It's built into it, correct?
Sure, and you heard during the Republican presidential primaries, Newt Gingrich's big thing is that this is the food stamp president.
I know.
And you hear it today on Fox News all the time. Under Obama, the food stamp rolls have swollen, which is technically true, but they present it as a policy choice of Obama to put more people on. And it's not. It's automatic. If you reach a certain level of income, which is quite low, then you're on it automatically. So you're exactly right. The worse the economy does, the more people are on the program.
Now, related, we've talked a lot about this lately, unemployment insurance. Here we go again. They went away at Christmas time and said, don't worry, we know your checks are going to run out, but we'll be back right after the first of the year. And the first thing we're going to do is take this up and implied passed that extension of the unemployment insurance benefits. Now they're going off for another break without having done anything.
Without having done a thing. I think what we've seen changed is that going into the break, before the holidays, Republicans just plainly said, we're not really interested in passing this. Rand Paul said this encourages laziness and encourages people not to find a job. What happened over the break is that there was a lot of tough local coverage about people who are losing their benefits. There were some polls that came out that showed even in, say, for example, John Boehner's conservative Ohio district, a majority of voters wanted it extended, and a slight majority of Republicans wanted the program extended. So Republicans came back to D.C. with a different tune. They said, well, we'd like to pass it. However, we want to pay for it in these certain ways. And, of course, they had all these crazy demands. We want a 1-year delay of Obamacare to pay for it. We want all these immigration measures and stuff. So it sort of stalled on that. But what Republicans did successfully do, unfortunately, I think in the eyes of too many kind of mainstream journalists, is turn it into not that we don't want to pass it, but we'd like to, but we can't agree on how to pay for it. Mm-hmm. So now that's sort of where the debate is.
Why should we have to pay for it?
It's never been paid for before. It was passed. It was extended 5 times under George W. Bush. Never paid for. Historically, has never been paid for. And if you're looking at a program that's going to cost $26 billion over a year, that sounds like a lot of money. But in terms of the federal budget, I mean that's a completely trivial amount.
Right. Again, related to the war on poverty, the minimum wage, nobody's even talking about. I mean, there are bills out there, but they haven't picked it up yet at all. Do you expect them to this year?
I think in a sense,
the fact that it's stuck at $7.25 and has been again by George W. Bush. I mean, he did the right thing in this case. Right. I'm just saying, Republicans raised the minimum wage under George W. Bush. Why won't they under President Obama?
For one, anything that, and we've seen this time and time again, anything that Obama is for, they are against. If he says today is Friday, they will say today is Thursday. But beyond that, I think there really is, and I hate to kind of impugn motives, but I do think there is a strain of thought in the party that the more they help the economy heading into the midterms and through the rest of Obama's term, the tougher things become politically for them. So for them, there's no incentive to help Obama help people out and make the economy better. It's bad for them.
Related, I saw yesterday Ed Gillespie, former Republican chair of the Republican National Committee and former top aide at the White House, and not a bad guy. I mean, I know him pretty well. I used to debate him a lot on Crossfire. He announced that he's going to run for Senate in Virginia against Senator Mark Warner. Lots of luck with that, right? I mean, Warner's one of the most popular politician in Virginia, and I think would easily be reelected. But at any rate, the point is, Gillespie said the centerpiece of his campaign is that Mark Warner voted for the Affordable Care Act, and that alone, he should be thrown out of the United States. So Republicans are really believe that they can make Obamacare the one issue, repeal of it, that they're going to run on. This year. I mean, still, 3 years after it became law.
And now it's when, it was easier to do 2 years ago when it was just sort of this idea, but it wasn't, people weren't actually getting benefits. They weren't enrolling. They weren't getting cheaper plans. And in Virginia, it's so funny that he's made that calculation. You're right, because Virginia is a state that Obama carried after he passed Obamacare in 2012. He won that state in the presidential election. Tim Kaine gets elected to the Senate. Who, while he wasn't around, of course, was an open Obamacare supporter.
Right.
And all of a sudden, he thinks that maybe now will finally be the time that Virginia voters reject Obamacare. I don't think it's going to happen.
And that's all they've got, right? I mean, it's rejected. There's no plan to replace it. And they believe that issue is going to carry them in congressional races, in Senate races across the country. I just don't get it. But they don't ask me for advice. We got George Zornick is here from The Nation. Touched on a lot of things. We'll continue our conversation. Invite you to join us, whether it's food stamps, unemployment insurance, Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. You know the number, 866-55-PRESS. Questions or comments, welcome.
This is the Bill Press Show.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing down, I want you to just push the area.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Here from our nation's capital, 10 minutes before the top of the hour. In the next hour, we'll be talking with the ACLU and with the Center for American Progress. Right now, George Zornick is here, a reporter for The Nation magazine, thenation.com, here in our nation's capital. George, the president, with his big speech today, nobody's been a stronger defender over the years of our constitutional freedoms, particularly the right of privacy, than The Nation magazine. and a lot of us see some real intrusions on our privacy by what NSA is up to. Do we really expect the president to make any big difference today? Yeah.
From the details I've seen leaked, no. And certainly from the attitude of the administration up to this point towards the concerns that have been raised, I would say no. I would say never, wait and see what he says. But what we know is that he's going to do some sort of classic Washington maneuvering around the problem. He is going to ask for a study, a 180-day study, to be done by the Director of National Intelligence, who, of course, is the last guy you want doing the study.
Right. Just to stop you on that.
Sure.
We just had a presidential panel,
right,
which he appointed to do a study and come back with recommendations, and they did 46 recommendations. So now on top of one study, we need another study by the Director of National, by the guy who lied to Congress?
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly. It's not a panel. It's the Director of National Intelligence who's going to come back and tell us what he thinks should be changed about his spying program. So I wouldn't want to predict exactly what it's going to be, but I think we could make a pretty good guess.
Whoa. If that's right, that'll be, the president will be just roundly criticized by everybody, starting with me, if he asks Clapper to do his own study.
Right.
Can you imagine that? What?
I cannot imagine that. No, I really can't imagine that. I don't know how that would go.
I know how it
wouldn't be good. Yeah, it wouldn't be good.
Yeah, and how it will go too. And so the classic, as Susan Page from USA Today said earlier, try to thread the needle, right? A little bit to make the civil libertarians happy, and then a lot to make the intelligence people happy, and basically doing nothing.
Right. So
status quo. Is that what you...
Yeah, we'll give him some credit for some of the good things that are in there. One, we've heard that he's going to appoint sort of a public advocate to the secret court that approves the surveillance warrants, and in fact acts like a Supreme Court, kind of shapes the body of law around this stuff.
But it's still a secret court, isn't it?
Right, exactly. So if this person is thwarted and they say, you really can't do this, and the judge says, oh, yes, we can, too bad, well, then... what happens.
Right.
So that's something. I mean, there are civil libertarians who have called for at least a voice in there, and that's good, but it's not going to be determinative of the program. Yeah. And the other thing he's doing, which again is a sort of a classic Washington maneuver, is he's going to kick some of the more difficult questions to Congress. He's going to say, I don't really know if this is appropriate, but why don't you guys figure it out?
Right.
Now, I know and you know and he knows that Congress cannot agree on anything about this, so it means nothing will happen.
Right. And so far, all we've heard out of Congress in terms of NSA has been whatever you want, rubber stamp. Right. Intelligence Committee in the Senate, Intelligence Committee in the House. Right. They're supposed to be the overseers of the NSA, and they're their chief defenders right now.
Unfortunately true.
Oh my! I don't know. I'm girding myself to really be disappointed in the president's speech today. I hope he surprises us all and shows a little more backbone than we expect. Hey, George, nice to have you in. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Anytime.
And keep that nation going strong. We count on it. TheNation.com it is. Good to see you.
You too. Thank you.
This is the Bill Press Show.
In 1920s America, the Great Depression effectively erased consumer demand. Struggling manufacturers needed new ways to get people buying again. Innovative production processes like stamping and use of molds allowed them to use new materials for their designs. Products using vinyl, chrome, aluminium and plywood began appearing. American industrial designers began introducing streamlined, efficient shapes that shouted progress. Bel Geddes pioneered what we now refer to as utilitarian art. Things that had little reason to look sleek, now all of a sudden did. At the 1939 World Fair featuring Bel Geddes' immensely popular Futurama exhibit, a new era of American industrial design proudly claimed to be building the world of tomorrow. Americans found great positivity in these futuristic forms. Yay. Things were looking up. American industrial designers realised that by making objects look great, people simply wanted them more. From cars to kitchen appliances, the most influential society on earth was spending money again. Mass consumption had arrived. Advertisers finally had lots to talk about. Personal taste could be expressed through the things you bought. Style became equally as important as function. Chair designers like Eames and Saarinen didn't just design seating, they created desirable lifestyles. People behind the product suddenly were stars. Everyone wanted to know who they were. Raymond Loewy was one of the shining lights of American industrial design. His face ended up on every coffee table in the nation. Toothpaste packaging promised whiter teeth. Washing powder packaging promised whiter whites. Who knew such simple household objects would shape the tastes and ambitions of an entire society? American industrial design improved America, functionally, culturally and intellectually, and exported it around the globe.
Here we go.
Two hours so far. Great stuff, but even more good stuff coming up in hour number 3. Hate to lose you on Free Speech TV, so invite you to switch over to the video cast, the video stream at youtube.com/TawkrTV, TawkrTV. In the next hour, we're going to take a look at what the president might be saying today about NSA with the ACLU, who are very critical of the president on security matters. And then we'll talk women's issues with the leader of the Center for American Progress. All coming up in hour number 3.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, another very exciting, very important hour coming up on this Friday morning. Can't go into the weekend yet. Got another hour to go here. At the top of the hour, Michelle Richardson from the ACLU will be here to talk about signals intelligence and the president's speech on the NSA. And then Melissa Boteach from Boteach, right? Boteach, sorry. From the Center for American Progress, here to talk about that big report that Maria Shriver released and talk to the president about on women's rights and women's issues and progress that women have made in the American workplace these days. 2 big issues coming up, so stay with us here for hour number 3 of the Bill Press Show.
This is the Bill Press Show. Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
It's not a do-nothing Congress. Nancy Pelosi calls it a drive-by Congress. Yeah, well, they just drove out of town again. Only been back for 2 weeks, got nothing done, so they decided to take another week off. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday, January 17. Welcome to the program here on your local progressive talk radio station. Good to have you with us today. Everywhere in this great land of ours, the U.S. of A. And good to have you with us as well on our video stream. Those of you who would rather look at pictures and just listen to the program, pick up your laptop, take out your iPad, or sit down at your desktop and go to youtube.com/TawkrTV. Particularly good for those of you not in this country, those of you around the globe, and we have more and more countries, people from more and more countries checking in every day. Not only expats, but people who are interested in the politics of the United States and maybe want to work on their English a little bit. You know, good young friend of mine in Paris listens every day.
Yeah.
French friend who's been in studio with us one time. But he likes to keep up with his English, and so this is the way he does it.
I would be careful.
We are the Rosetta Stone of American politics.
I would be careful of some of the words he picks up, and some other foreigners might pick up watching this show. You've been known to use adult language.
Yeah, but just think of the words I might use if the FCC were not watching over us. Damn it. Lots going on today to talk about. It's good to have you with us. We are coming to you live, of course, on your local Progressive Talks radio station. And I said on the video stream at youtube.com/TawkrTV. Today, a little bit later in this hour, we're going to be talking. A very important report came out this week on gender equality. And it is stunning. And Maria Shriver, head of the group that did this report, made a special presentation to the president. And Melissa Boteach from the Center for American Progress will be here to tell us more about it. But on the issue of gender equality, it's just amazing in this day and age how women still have not achieved parity with men in the workplace. Jon Stewart last night talked about some of the progress that's been made, and yet indications of how we still have a long way to go.
There's no question in the past few months, there have been a series of wonderful firsts for women.
Mm-hmm. Historic confirmation, Janet Yellen will become the first female chair of the Federal Reserve.
For the first time in its 325-year history, Lloyd's of London has a female CEO.
The auto industry giant taps its first ever female CEO.
We have a new CEO who happens to be a woman, a car gal. I think that's really good.
You know really? What? I imagine her first memo to the company could be something along the lines of, hey, from now on, rather than car gal, you could just call me CEO.
Car gal.
Yeah, we have a new chick in here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The car gal.
This is our car. This is the broad that talks about cars.
It's like you picture her under the car changing the oil.
Yeah, right.
No, she's running the company, dude.
This dame is running this company now, and she knows a thing or two about cars.
And you're working for her.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, or at least you were until 5 minutes ago. Again, we'll be talking with Melissa Boteach about that report a little bit later, and we'll start off the hour with Michelle Richardson from the ACLU on NASA and what changes we might expect today. But first...
This is the Full Court Press.
Just a couple of other stories making news. 17 cities lost their direct flights from National Airport here in Washington, D.C.
Whoa. We didn't have that many to begin with, did we?
Right, I know. Detroit, Minneapolis, San Diego, and 14 other cities are going to lose
San Diego flight?
their direct American airline flight from DCA because of its recent mergers with U.S. Airways. They also had to cut 3 direct flights from LaGuardia and to various airports. So they're looking at sort of why this happened, but it all has to do with the merger, and the Justice Department sort of said you can't have too much control over one certain aviation market. So because if American Airlines, because of the merger, would have had too many flights leaving D.C. to these cities, they said you have to break it up and drop some. So,
well, you know what? Some members of Congress are not going to be happy because a lot of those direct flights to places like Minneapolis, Phoenix, San Diego were demanded by members of Congress who didn't want to have to go all the way out to Dulles.
Yeah. Or have to deal with a layover.
Right. Yeah.
Bill, say hello to Amu Haji.
Hello.
Hello, Amu Haji. He is an Iranian man. He's 80 years old, and he is ready for love. Except here's the problem. He is now being called the world's dirtiest man. He told the Tehran Times he hasn't had a bath in 60 years.
Well, if he wants some love, I'd suggest take a bath first.
He says he doesn't want to take a bath. He thinks that being clean makes you sick. That when you're dirty, you become one with the earth and you can't catch the germs. He smokes 5 cigarettes at a time, and then when he doesn't have cigarettes, he smokes animal feces, and his favorite meal is rotten porcupine meat. This is all being reported by the Tehran Times. They have pictures of the man. We're going to tweet them out. They are stunning to see how dirty a human could possibly be.
Has he tried Snapchat?
He should try Snapchat.
Right.
He should try Snapchat. That could maybe work for him. It's not a bad idea, Bill. And
there's somebody out there.
Yeah, there's somebody for everybody. There's somebody for everybody. A Mexican motorist was busted this week. His name was Guillermo Reyes, 49 years old. He was pulled over by traffic cops at a routine alcohol checkpoint, and when cops asked him if he had been drinking, someone in the car started shouting, "He's drunk! He's drunk!" It turns out it was Mr. Reyes' pet parakeet that he had in the car.
No way.
And when the police checked out his blood alcohol level, he was, in fact, over the legal limit. And his pet parakeet ratted him out.
The parakeet ratted him out?
He's drunk. He's drunk.
Man. What oven temperature do you cook parakeet?
It is a delicacy in some cities.
Parakeet.
Yeah. Fried parakeet, man.
Shall we say, I think that parakeet's goose is cooked. Or will soon be.
Exactly.
13 minutes after the hour, it's been a big build-up, and it happens today at the Justice Department later this morning, about 3 hours from now. President Obama revealing the steps that he is going to recommend for reforms in the NSA's mega data collection program. Michelle Richardson is a legislative counsel for the ACLU, an organization which has filed a suit against the NSA's data collection program. I believe that's what we'll find out more from Michelle. Hey, Michelle, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
So we've had 1 or 2 court cases, rulings now on the NSA program. Your suit is yet to be decided, correct?
Well, actually, we did get our first ruling up in New York in our case. We sued on our own behalf. We're Verizon customers. So when the document leaked that Verizon was turning over records every day to the NSA. We sued in our own name. We did lose, but we've appealed to the Second Circuit. However, a D.C. judge found the opposite. He found that the program was unconstitutional and really found that the Justice Department's interpretations are really outdated and that this data is incredibly sensitive.
The judge here in Washington also said that there was no evidence that all of this data collection program had interrupted even one potential terrorist attack. What did the judge in New York, how did he defend it? Did he say it's really working, or what was his rationale?
He deferred to the administration's assertions that it was helpful in some sense. But really, the consensus now is that these programs are not stopping terrorist attacks here in the United States. That's not just the finding of that judge in D.C., but also the president's own hand-picked review group and members of Congress who have spent the last 7 months trying to get to the bottom of this, and they have yet been given a single example of a terrorist attack that's been stopped by these mass data collection programs.
All right, so the president appointed, as you pointed out, his panel. They came back to him with 46 recommendations. We've got that. We've got the judge's decision. We got the president has been meeting with this group and that group, members of private industry, members of the intelligence community, members of Congress, giving his big speech today. What can we expect?
Well, he's going to be speaking at 11 o'clock today at the Justice Department. There are press accounts just starting to leak out this morning that he may take the step of saying that he wants to end the NSA's collection of the phone records and that he is going to direct the administration to spend the next couple of months figuring out exactly how to do that and negotiating with Congress about where those records should be stored. But there should not be a daily download to the NSA. If that is, in fact, what he says, that would be a fantastic step in the right direction. Of course.
And it's beyond where reports earlier in the week indicated he might go, correct? I mean, I saw so many people saying we didn't expect anything other than the status quo. This would be a big deal, wouldn't it?
Yes, this would be a big step in the right direction. I think to see how deep these changes are, you want to see if he's going to apply this to other types of records too. We've spoken a lot about phone records over the last 6 months because that's what we have the most information about, but this can also get financial data, internet records, email. We want to make sure that these changes apply across the board because right now it's Obama and phone records. You know, next time maybe it's Christie and emails. We need to make sure that the statutes are changed and put in privacy protections across the board.
So is the president, from what you've heard, saying that this, as his panel recommended, that this information would stay with the phone companies until NSA got a warrant to prove they needed information on a particular customer for a particular reason?
Yeah, the initial reports this morning are that it would stay in the private sector, whether that would be having the phone companies keep the data themselves or creating some new third private entity as sort of a way station between the phone companies and the NSA. Hasn't been decided yet, and they're going to have to negotiate that with Congress. We definitely urge they just allow them to stay at the phone companies where they are under current retention practices. For all this debate, the administration actually hasn't given a single example of a phone record that was about to expire that was saved by this phone database.
Mm-hmm. We heard earlier this morning a report that the president might recommend another study, a study conducted by James Clapper as to what other changes might be required in our intelligence gathering. Have you heard anything about that?
Not yet. You would want to make sure that any review, though, be broad-based, that it not be housed solely in the intelligence community.
I would hope not, right.
These folks have been so clear over the last 7 months. They don't find anything wrong with anything they've done and are not inclined to change it. So I don't know that a review cabined only with Mr. Clapper would result in any changes. But hopefully today we'll see some steps in the right direction. This is definitely not the last say in NSA issues. Congress has a lot of legislation out there, and they're raring to go.
And any likely softening of the official United States government attitude toward Edward Snowden?
I would not expect any statements in that direction at all.
I mean, after all, we wouldn't be having this conversation. You and I wouldn't be talking about it. The president would not be giving the speech. The judges would not have issued their ruling. There would have been no presidential panel. We wouldn't even know what the hell was going on without Edward Snowden.
That's right. That's right. We have been through this repeatedly since 9/11. They keep rewriting the laws, and Congress keeps voting on them. And even the most basic information about how our government spies on us has been kept secret the entire time under a secret body of law and a secret court. And this is really the first meaningful discussion we've had in the last 12 years.
Well, I'll tell you, Michelle, I am a longtime proud member of the ACLU. I'm glad you're out in front on this issue. On the right side of this issue, as you are on the right side of most issues. Appreciate your good work, and particularly appreciate your time this morning, and we're all going to be watching at 11 o'clock.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Michelle Richardson. It's aclu.org. And if you believe in the Constitution, whether you are a liberal or a conservative, you should join the ACLU.
This is the Bill Press Show. is the Bill Press Show.
Okay, 25 minutes after the hour now. On gender inequality, the next half hour here of the Bill Press Show this Friday morning, January 17. Did I mention it's a Friday? Yeah, you know what we like to do on Friday. If we have time, and we do this morning, we're going to make time to look back over some of our favorite clips of the week, sound bites of the week. We bring them to you, start at the bottom, work our way up to the top. Getting started, remember that Southwest Airline heading a plane heading to Branson, Missouri, ended up landing at the wrong airport 9 miles away. Fortunately, the runway was long enough to accommodate it. Two of the passengers telling what that experience was like.
We landed and we kind of stopped abruptly.
The pilot came on and said, "I'm sorry, folks, but we've landed at the wrong airport."
Oops. You thought you were going to Branson. Well, you're not. You're spending the weekend in Choctaw or wherever it was. I don't know where it happened to be. Both pilots of that plane have been suspended without pay. Everybody's having fun with Chris Christie, myself included. But David Letterman pointed out after listening to Chris Christie's State of the State address, now we know why Christie did what he did.
Number 4.
Chris Christie has stopped jobs from leaving New Jersey. Of course, he closed the bridge. He said crime in New Jersey is down. Of course, he closed the bridge. They can't get in. He said he created the single biggest turnaround in the history of the state. You can't turn around. He closed the bridge.
Very funny. Gravity nominated as one of the top pictures for the Academy Awards. Tina Fey at the Boston Globes told us what Gravity's all about.
Number 3.
It's the story of how George Clooney would rather float away into space and die than spend one more minute with a woman his own age.
And Anderson Cooper, CNN, sent Randy Kay out to Colorado to report on pot use in Colorado now that it's legal. Boy, she got the full report.
Number 2.
It was top notch. We did very extensive research, I have to tell you. My brain was a little fuzzy by the time I got out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't thinking right. I couldn't remember even some of the questions that I wanted to ask in the interview, which has never happened to me when I'm reporting in the field. And I found things to be really funny.
Oh, yeah.
Much funnier than I normally do. So I think we got a little bit of a contact high there.
Yeah, she got the giggles and the munchies. And Bill de Blasio says, come on, where I come from, everybody eats pizza with a fork and knife.
Number 1.
In my ancestral homeland, it is more typical to eat with a fork and knife. And so I have been in Italy a lot, and I picked up the habit for certain types of pizzas.
The big scandal facing the new mayor of New York. Do you eat pizza with your hands or do you eat it with a fork and knife? That depends, I think, on how hot the pizza is, what kind of pizza it is. At any rate, he'll survive this scandal. When we come back, what is the status of women in the workplace of America? Big, important report on that today, this week, and we'll find out all about it next.
This is the Bill Press Show. Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is The Bill Press Show.
33 minutes after the hour on a Friday morning, January 17. Good to have you with us today. We are coming to you live from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and our studio on Capitol Hill, just down the street from the United States Capitol building, which is pretty empty today. This House and the Senate both gone home for a long Martin Luther King birthday week. If you're lucky, you might get the day off. They get the entire week off. We are here and brought to you today by the Communication Workers of America, the good men and women of the Communication Workers Union under President Larry Cohen. They are the union for the information age, way out in front on so many issues. They've been leading the fight in the Congress for raising the minimum wage. And you can find, among other issues, you can find out more about their good work at their website, cwa-union.org. On the president's schedule this week, meeting with Maria Shriver to discuss, former First Lady of California, to discuss a very important report put out by her foundation. It's called the Shriver Report, all about gender equality and how women are doing, particularly in the workplace here in 2014 in the United States. Melissa Boteach, that report was published in partnership with the Center for American Progress. Melissa Boteach here from the center to talk to us about it this morning. Hi, Melissa. Nice to see you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for coming in, and let's all say happy birthday to our First Lady today, right?
Happy birthday, Michelle Obama.
Yeah. Right. Fabulous and 50.
That's right.
Yeah, she sure is fabulous. A great First Lady. And a style all of her own, brought a lot of energy, a lot of creativity. A lot of jazz kind of to this position of First Lady. So how are women faring today in the workplace? What did you find?
So one of the paradoxes we unearthed in the report is that women are in some ways doing better than ever. They're the majority of college graduates. They're the majority of consumers. They're breadwinners in 2/3 of American families. But at the same time, they are more likely to be poor. 1 in 3 women in this country is living in poverty or on its brink. That is 42 million women and the 28 million children who depend on them. Women are about half the workforce, but they're 2/3 of minimum wage workers. Women are the majority of college graduates, but at the same time, they're making 77 cents on average to the average man's dollar. So we have this paradox of power and powerlessness, and the book explores how we push back.
Wow. I mean, you mentioned, and I wanted to ask you about the salary differential. I mean, with all the talk we've heard about pay equity, right, it's still not there.
Right. And
77
cents on the dollar. And it's worse for African American women and Latinas. It's about 64 cents for African American women and 55 cents for Latinas compared to white men. And one of the new stats we put out in this book is that this isn't just bad for women and their families, it's bad for our economy. So we have new research showing that if we were to close that gender wage gap, we would cut the poverty rate for working women and their families in half and add $500 billion to our GDP.
Whoa. Now, when you look, though, around you, we've got, Janet Yellen's a new head of the Fed, right? Of CEO at Hewlett-Packard, the new CEO of GM, right? So, I mean, women are achieving leadership positions where they're always shut out of the boardrooms before. Right. I mean, a lot of them have broken the glass ceiling, but it's not trickling down? Is that...
Well, this book is, we've had a lot of conversation from women who are sort of at the top of their careers about leaning in and Anne-Marie Slaughter versus, versus the lean in. And this book is about the 1 in 3 women who are just struggling to find their foundation. The ground beneath them is shaky. They're not thinking about the glass ceiling. They're trying to think about a stable floor. Yeah. And the conversation about feminism oftentimes excludes these women. And so what we want to do with this book is to lift up their voices, their stories. The book includes dozens of stories from women on the brink themselves, as well as top academics, business leaders, political leaders, Beyonce. But it's trying to get everybody to talk about what's often not spoken about, which is the P word, poverty.
So when all these programs that, if you talk about minimum wage or you talk about extending unemployment insurance, you talk about food stamps, these primarily affect women, I guess is what you found, huh?
Yep, about 2/3 of minimum wage workers are women. The unemployment insurance, that affects about men and women roughly equally. In fact, men slightly more so in terms of number of long-term unemployed workers. But in terms of the low-wage workforce, these are people who are working, struggling to make ends meet. 2/3 of minimum wage workers are women. 70% of low-wage workers have not a single paid sick day to take care of themselves, a sick kid. So it's this month's groceries or stay at home with your sick kid.
All right,
impossible choices.
So you outlined the problems today very powerfully. Do you move into what might be done about it?
That we spend half the book, outlining the problem, saying why it matters, but then we say we can push back. The title of the book isn't A Women's Nation on the Brink. It's A Women's Nation Pushes Back. There's action. And so there's 3 sets of solutions that we outline. Public solutions, private solutions, and personal solutions. Public solutions are things such as helping women balance breadwinning and caregiving through paid family leave, paid sick days legislation, raising the minimum wage, comprehensive child care and pre-K. These are not pie-in-the-sky goals. The United States is the only developed country who has no paid family leave and no paid sick days. We can do this. The private sector solutions, we actually...
I thought we had the Family and Medical Leave Act.
That's unpaid. It's unpaid. And so workers at corporations of a certain size can take up to 12 weeks of unpaid leave. Mm-hmm. But only about 12% of private sector employers offer paid leave. And so most employees cannot afford to take 12 weeks unpaid, especially after the birth of a child. All of a sudden, your expenses are skyrocketing. You got diapers, you got formula, you got everything else. Most people can't afford to take 12 weeks off without income. Mm-hmm. And so you see a lot of people going back to work before they're ready, not spending the time they need to, do their caregiving responsibilities, care for themselves. Even ill parent. It's not just people with kids. Your parent is ill. You have a spouse with a disability. People don't have the time that they need paid to take off for those life events that we all experience. And so it's become something that only upper middle class people can do.
And we're the only Western nation that doesn't have those?
Yes, we're the only Western nation that does not have paid family leave or paid sick days.
Oh, we've got a long way to go there.
Yes.
Okay. How about some of the private recommendations?
So we release a brand new, what we call a Thrive Index. It's a set of questions for employers to talk about how they can provide the most opportunity for their low-wage workforce. So some of these things obviously are pay and benefits. Employers can offer paid family leave. Employers can offer paid sick days.
Right.
But most of the things don't cost a dime. It's about modernizing our workplace's relationship with women, recognizing that people, have families and lives outside of work that they're desperately trying to balance. And so that these are not just things you do because they're nice for your workforce. They're things that you do because they create effective and efficient workplaces that reduce turnover and increase the bottom line. These are things like, making sure people have predictable or flexible schedules as they need to be able to do their work. It's things like making sure that people can take time, 5 minutes out of their day to make a phone call if they're a caregiver to check on their sick kid. It's basically respecting your workers as caregivers as well as breadwinners. And most of those things don't cost a dime and will increase loyalty of your workforce.
And among the personal recommendations is what, just raise hell?
Well, raise hell is always, I'm always for raising hell. But we talk about getting an education. We talk about family planning. We talk about things women can do to keep themselves off the brink, to push back if they're already on. And we introduce a new curriculum called Life Ed. It sort of replaced the home ec of, many years ago, that women need to get financially literate. They need to have the tools at their disposal to make the best possible decisions for them and their families. We have to challenge the structural issues that they're facing and also empower them with information they need to make the right choices.
It's so funny. That's just a flash from the past. Obviously, this was a long time ago, but I remember when I was in middle school, nobody questioned it. Girls took home ec.
Yep.
And boys took wood shop.
Right.
It was the same hour, and we all had it in different. And that was sort of, imagine the lesson, right? That's being taught there, right? And this is your place.
Yeah.
You learn how to cook and how to sew and how to iron, and over here you learn how to make things, right?
And we conducted focus groups with girls and their moms. The Aspen Institute, Ascend at the Aspen Institute, wrote the Personal Solutions chapter, and they conducted focus groups in conjunction with the Shriver Report, asking girls and boys and their mothers, "What do you wish you had known, or what do you need to know?" And people came up with all kinds of things, like, I wish that I had knew how to buy a car. I wish that I knew how to apply for loans for college. People did not have the financial literacy that they needed, and so this is sort of saying, let's put aside, how to set a table and how to make a meal. Women need to see themselves, young girls need to see themselves as providers, not just provided for. And that means we need to arm them with the information that they need.
Yeah, that's so important, for those skills. You said something earlier about women are breadwinners in 2/3 of American families. Did I hear you correctly?
Yes, 2/3 of American families.
Does that mean that they're the sole breadwinners, or that they are bringing home a paycheck?
It means that they are sole or co-breadwinners.
Yeah.
So that at least the family relies on their income. It's not just a small amount, a small share of the family's income.
So 2/3 in 2/3 of American families, I guess, right?
Yes, they rely on the mother's income.
The mother is working today. Boy,
no, they're working in more than those families. So 2/3 of the families that they rely on the mother's income.
Rely on it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is another huge difference. Right,
yep.
in family life in this country.
Yeah, 50 years ago, only 1 out of 5. Most families had a breadwinner dad and a homemaker mom, and today that's only the case in 1 out of 5 families.
So, American Progress. We'll come back and take calls and comments, but AmericanProgress.org is where people can see the whole report.
Yes, and ShriverReport.org, both.
ShriverReport.org or AmericanProgress.org for the Shriver Report. More about it with Melissa Boteach here on The Bill Press Show. You know the number to call, 866-55-PRESS. Your questions or your story about how things are going with you, give us a call. Got room for you at the table anytime here.
This is The Bill Press Show. Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
12 minutes now before the top of the hour. Friday, January 17. That report, very important report on the status of women today. On the question of gender equality, we've come a long way, but still a long way to go. Again, it's called the Shriver Report. A woman's nation pushes back from the brink. Just released this week. Maria Shriver had a one-on-one meeting with the president to brief him on the findings of the report. You can read it and weigh in any way you can. Follow their recommendations for public, private, and personal ways to push back. And you can find the report again at AmericanProgress.org or at ShriverReport.org. Either one. One other item, can't go into the weekend without making sure you know the latest important issue. We of this Congress. We've talked a lot, and rightfully so, about this do-nothing Congress. They just sit on their, even when they're in town, they sit on their hands, and they spend 2/3 of the year, it seems, out of town, and haven't accomplished anything. In fact, it's called the Do-Nothing Congress. 2013, the least productive year of any Congress in the history of the Congress, and this session when we got one more year to go, will definitely go down in history as the most do-nothing Congress of all, or as Nancy Pelosi calls it, the drive-by Congress. Well, you might be pleased to know that Congress has finally found, Republicans in the House at least, have finally found one issue that they really care about and they're willing to go to battle for. Yes, they have finally found a top priority, something that really excites them, something that's got their juices flowing, something that they're willing to go out and work and fight for. And what is that issue? What do you think might really turn them on? Would it be climate change? No. Immigration reform? No, not that either. Jobs? How about jobs? No, not jobs either. What has really got these Republicans excited, yes, is the incandescent light bulb. Saving the incandescent light bulb. Now, they were supposed to stop making these light bulbs at the end of 2010. Then Republicans managed to, 2012. Then Republicans managed to extend the life of the incandescent light bulb. Instead of moving to these CFL bulbs or the LED bulbs, they extended them for another 2 years. But as of January 1, 2014, under this legislation, the manufacture of incandescent light bulbs expired. They're not going to make any more until the Republicans moved in, discovered this, and they have now actually put language in this omnibus budget bill to reverse that, to repeal the ban on the production of incandescent light bulbs and to extend their life, because they say they just don't like them. They don't like this change, and they're just going to they want people to continue to be able to buy incandescent light bulbs, which is, first of all the things that they're not doing anything again about the minimum wage, not doing anything about unemployment insurance, they've got time for this. Yes. They've made time for this, and their arguments against it are why they want to continue this. Even Michelle Bachmann, I love this, right? She actually introduced legislation which is called the Light Bulb Freedom of Choice Act, saying that people should continue to be able to buy these old-fashioned light bulbs, despite the fact they say, well, they're more these new light bulbs, the CFLs and the LEDs, are more expensive. Yes, they are more expensive. They last 15 times longer, and they save an enormous amount of energy. Michael Tomasky writes this morning in the Daily Beast that if every American household replaced 15 conventional light bulbs, old-fashioned light bulbs, with 15 CFLs or LEDs, we would save the equivalent of the output of 40 coal-burning power plants in this country.
Wow.
So this is what we ought to do. And what a lot of these Republicans, I don't realize is that this light bulb change was ordered by George W. Bush's Energy Department. This was not Barack Obama's doing. This is not some commie plot. This was a conservative Republican Department of Energy that says, here's one very practical way we could all save energy, save money over the long run, and do the right thing for the planet. But Republicans, no. But of all the issues that they could get excited about, this is the one. Save the old-fashioned light bulb. And after that, I think Michelle Bachmann's going to introduce legislation, the Television Freedom of Choice Act. We can go back making black and white televisions too, so you have the choice to buy a black and white or color TV. Why not? Right back with a quick parting shot.
This is the Bill Press Show. The Parting Shot with Bill Press. This is the Bill Press Show.
And I just want to use my parting shot time this Friday morning, January 17, to say a big happy birthday to First Lady Michelle Obama. She is 50 today. She is fabulous at 50, fabulous and 50. The New York Times saying this morning about her, she has perfected a mean forehand, is working on her yoga poses, dishes with girlfriends over Brussels sprouts and dirty martinis, pushes her two daughters to play two sports, and said this week that the wonders of modern dermatology like Botox are in the realm of possibility for her. She also toys with false eyelashes. This is one modern, with it, great First Lady who has brought so much energy and creativity and initiative and just plain fun to the White House. And we salute her. We're lucky to have her and wish her the best of happy birthdays, Michelle Obama.
This
have a great weekend,
is
everybody.
the Bill
See you
Press
Monday.
Show.